Good evening, Norcal Karters. And it is Monday, May 23rd, and tonight we have a special show. We have some representatives from RLV/VLR. And if you're like me and you've been around the sport for any length of time, uh, the familiar RLV decals, they're pretty simple looking, but the brand, it just kind of just sticks out. Like once you see that sticker, you know who RLV is. So we will get to our guests here in a few moments, but a couple of housekeeping items. Ashley uses the hashtag races this weekend. So the races we have coming up this weekend, that being May 28th and the 29th, we have Rock Sonoma out at Sonoma. And once again, we will be doing the live stream from Rock Sonoma on the YouTube channel. So you can find the live stream. We'll do a link on Norcal Karters, but it's hosted on the Rock Sonoma YouTube page. So that's taking place this weekend. Also this weekend, Prairie City is having another race weekend. So Rock Sonoma this weekend and Prairie City is happening this weekend. So for information on Prairie City, you can go to pckarting.com. And those two clubs, they're supporters of the Norcal Karters program. So thank you to those clubs for supporting us. And shooting out a little bit further, the Challenge Karting Group, which is California Rock Championship, run by Andy Saisman. They are heading to Pat's Acres on June 24th through the 26th. So registration is open for them. And the reason I'm mentioning them, they're also a sponsor of Norcal Karters. But this is kind of a call out to the 206 drivers. Andy was put on the spot earlier today on EKN. They did a podcast. So EKN put him on the spot and said, hey, what about us 206 guys? So Andy said if he can receive 20 206 pre-entries per class, he will add that class to the schedule. So all you have to do is go to challengekarting.com, print out a registration form, cross out any of the classes that don't apply to you, just write senior 206, send your information to Andy. He says if there's 20 pre-entries by the deadline, he will add the class. And do me a favor, if you happen to do that and you heard about that announcement on this show, just put promo or hashtag Norcal Karters on your entry form. So that way Andy knows where the information came from. And last but not least, also on June 26th at Prairie City, we are hosting a swap meet. So June 26th at Prairie City, we are hosting a swap meet. If you go to norcalkarters.com, click on our calendar link, we have all the information posted there. So we have that. And let's see here. Oh, sorry about that. I was toggling through some of my tabs here. And last but not least, if you want more brand recognition for your companies or products, your brand here. We could put your product on that shelf. We could put your banner on that shelf. I'll wear your t-shirt. You could also sponsor Ashley's studio. So we have 2 studios available if you'd like to support the Norcal Karters project. So reach out to us. Oh, yeah, we could put your name up here too. And for a big enough check, we could just black my face out and then put like your logo right there. We could do that too. Most people would probably prefer that anyhow. So without further ado, let's bring our first guest up. So this guest, she is the official spokesperson for RLV. Miranda, are you ready?
I'm ready. I guess so.
You guess so. Welcome to the show. Why don't you let our listeners know who you are, what is your role at RLV, and we'll go from there.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miranda. I am the general manager of RLV and run the day-to-day. Everything basically goes through me now. Art and Rod have kind of taken a little step back. They cut down on their weeks, and Art's doing some new product development stuff, and Rod's over in the shop still kind of overseeing all that. But as far as the day-to-day goes, all goes through my desk, seems to. And it's a little bit about myself.
And how long have you been at RLV?
A little over 8 years now.
8 years. Okay. So you've been there for a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I've learned a lot from Art and Rod. They've been good to me, and Art's definitely taken me under his wing and shown me a lot so far. I've learned more about karting parts than I ever knew. I didn't even know the sport existed before I started there, and definitely know more about the parts than probably anybody at RLV now. So it's exciting and seems to always be changing. So we're just always trying to keep up with the newest projects and bring new products to you guys.
Well, and that's the whole point of the show too, is to make people aware of karting. And thank you for joining us this evening. And let's get to a couple of your drivers here. First up, Sophia Storey.
Hi,
How you doing,
everyone.
Sophia?
I'm pretty good.
So why don't you give us an introduction? Who are you? What chassis are you running? And where is your home track?
I'm Sophia Storey. I run the VLR. Been racing for about 9 years, and my home track, Santa Maria.
Santa Maria.
Yep.
SMKA.
That's the one.
That's the one. And over the past year or two, where has karting taken you as far as tracks or travel?
I've been running KPX, and I've also been running back east. Been running CKNA North. So that's been a fun experience, and gained a lot of knowledge from going back there. So
that's it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. We'll come back to you here in a little bit, and then we'll go through. If you have questions for our panel, ask away. We'll ask them live. And last but not least, Vasquez. How are you doing, David?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. So same question. Your background, what chassis are you on? What is your home track? And where has karting taken you in the past couple of years?
Sweet. So my name is David. I think I've been karting for about 20 to 22 years, right around there. Been with RLV for about 6 to 7 years on the VLR chassis for the Senior 206. Over the past couple of years, did a lot of racing, NorCal, SoCal, and then recently doing like a lot of like traveling back east to the Cup Kart with like Sophia for the Nationals and just Cup Kart North. And home track, it originally was Kerman. So there was about 10 minutes away where we used to live in the country. We had a Kerman kart track, but that pretty much got demolished over years. So now it's pretty much the Fresno Kart Grounds at the Central California Kart Association, CCKRA. So that's about it.
Very cool. So a Kerman reference there. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We know someone else from the Kerman track, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. My cousin.
So your cousin.
Yeah.
Right in the middle, right there.
What's up, NorCal? All right, we got Mike Smith. What's up, Mike Smith?
How's Mike doing down there in SoCal? Bing.
Sorry, that was me.
That was you?
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right, guys. So we're here to talk about all things VLR.
/ RLV.
Mike, where did VLR come from?
I get a lot of calls that say, Miranda, did you know that VLR is RLV backwards? And I have to answer, I didn't. I feel bad for asking me that, but yeah, it's RLV backwards. But yeah, Art came up with it. And RLV is obviously Rod's initials and who started the company, Rod Berlinger. And yeah, so VLR it stands for variable line racing, but it's RLV backwards.
Perfect.
And for a lot of us, again, going back, RLV exhaust has been around. Miranda, you can tell us here in a bit when RLV started, but for those of us in the industry or out of the industry, RLV, we've known them as exhaust pipes for KT100s, for shifter carts, and then you guys started expanding into other product lines. When did RLV actually start?
Rod started it in 1974.
1974.
Yeah, with painting chassis for the Hartmans and making 2-cycle pipes for Gary Hartman. So that's how it got started. And then Art joined the company in 1980, and it became RLV Tuned Exhaust Incorporated in 1979. And then Art joined the company in 1980, and they started growing, obviously, the exhaust industry from the 2-cycle to the 4-cycle and some shifter stuff. So yeah.
Very cool. And we have a real quickly. Hey, Colin, are you ready for us? Can Colin hear? No, he's not ready for us.
If you guys can hear me, I'm not getting any volume, so sorry.
That's right. Can you hear us? All right, Ashley, you want to work on Colin, and then I'll keep going.
Yes.
All right. So we had some 1978. You said on the history for when they started, Miranda.
Yeah, 1980 or 1974. Rod started the company, mostly making just 2-cycle exhaust for Gary Hartman. A lot of people know that in the vintage industry now. We just actually brought back all of his old template pipes, the 101 and the blimp and all that. We brought that back into production, so that's exciting because the vintage crowd seems to be growing, which is exciting for karting. It's kind of making its way back and it's having a lot of success. So we brought back all those pipes and getting that back into production's been exciting.
Very
All
cool.
right,
And actually, we have a question here
for Miranda.
there it is, Barry Barnwell.
Barry Barnwell. Hey, Barry.
Are there any innovative products being developed or researched for karting? Will we see any products soon?
We're working on a couple new silencers, not so much for the go-karting, but some of like the mini bike stuff and things like that. We are working on some new chain. You might be seeing soon some different 219 chains, so keep a lookout for that. We have just kind of we reinvented, I guess, our 219 HPC chain and made it a lot freer, very similar to the Reaper chain in the 35, if you're familiar with that. So that is now on the market for 219 chain. Seems to be a lot more flexible, very similar to the DID HTZ. So as far as that, that's kind of the main things we're working on right now, and basically trying to keep up with stock. As everybody knows, it's been very difficult since COVID, but we're doing the best we can to make sure we get products out to you guys, have containers of bodywork coming and seats and all that. So doing the best we can.
Yeah, and you guys do have a huge product line. Yeah, I mean, I have you guys on my extra cart parts store, and your bead breakers are extremely popular. But
yeah,
it's amazing how much volume you guys go through, because I'll call and do a product check, and you'll go, "Oh yeah, we have X amount," and it's like, "All right, I'm good." Then 2 weeks later, "Oh, we're on back order." It's like, what? So and every time I've stopped by the shop down there, you guys are busy packing product and shipping it out, and so that's always fun to see.
Yeah, it's been, the COVID thing's just been difficult. The port situation has been extremely hard to get around, and the prices of everything have gone up, and the port stuff. I mean, I have containers that sit there for like a month, just sitting there on a ship that I can't get to. But so it's frustrating, but we're just trying to up our inventory and stock a little more than we normally would, just to kind of get out of the hole and get product to you guys.
Very good. Let's see here. Ashley, did you get Colin situated or no?
He's working on a new headset.
Okay, perfect. And then let's see here. Actually, let's go around the horn on this question here. Let's see here. I have too many tabs open. I probably shouldn't have any tabs open, but I do.
Right. Let's try it. Coming in.
Oh, we're trying.
Hey, Colin.
Hello.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
Colin.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Go ahead and
Has anyone ever
introduce
told you you
yourself.
look like Austin Elliott, or no?
No, I don't know who that is.
No.
We are trying to get Colin out on the West Coast for a race soon, so everyone can get to meet Colin.
That's right.
Yeah, so I normally race on the East Coast. Mainly, I live in Florida, so mainly like Southeast, but obviously I travel up for like Grands and WK. I'm going to be going up north. Haven't done Cup Karts north yet, but hopefully soon. I'm
So
working on that.
where do you call your home track?
Closest track to me would be, I'm in between two tracks. The closest two are about 2 hours away. Anderson, it's in Palmetto, Florida, and Homestead, Florida.
Okay. Speaking of Florida, we had one of your Florida mates on last week, Jake Mota.
Yes, I know him. He's from he's based at Anderson.
He's based out of Anderson. He was on last week. We did a Burrell show, and so you're from Florida. I assume you're on the VLR chassis?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. All right, you're going to have to do your best to tie everything into Norcal Karters for us.
I will work on it.
All right. Let's see here. So let's go around the horn. We'll start with David Vasquez. What is, since all of you run 206, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. So, David, what does grassroots karting mean to you?
That's like an interrogation. All right.
It is.
So, I mean, me personally, it's just being able to go out with your family at the end of the day, mom and dad putting in the pickup or the trailer, whatever you got, and just going out to the club race. I mean, the part that's really sad nowadays is a lot of the local tracks that I grew up with, they're no longer here. Like not too long ago, Outwater Kart Club, that was about 45 minutes away from where I where I live. And just seeing like that piece of history in my mind, like just get, destroyed and no longer being there, like it's tough. But like at the end of the day, it really is a mom and dad kind of sport to where you just get with your family and you just go racing. And, growing up, we were very big on family and we always had time together to go to the go-kart track. I mean, I think we spent more time on the road than I actually did at home, truthfully, just because we were going from track to track. So, that really to me embodies the grassroots racing concept, is racing with your family. And at the end of the day, like I said, just doing it competitively, like in a class that's affordable, like the 206, truthfully for me, I wouldn't be probably racing if it wasn't for the 206, because other outlets such as the Scuda or things beyond that, like it's getting, not affordable for that package, whether it's the X30 or the KA. But at the end of the day, with that 206, it's a good package because it's still competitive, great racing, great, chassis and whatnot. So, I mean, in a nutshell, I think that's what it means to me.
Perfect. And then next up, same question for you, Sophia. What's grassroots karting mean to you?
I mean, I racing with my dad, and I've always raced with my dad since I was young, and being able to do that still is a big deal. But also the 206 package being affordable, I get to race more than I would if I would do something like Scusa or any of that stuff. And honestly, seeing younger kids get into it and be able to have that same outlet to race and be competitive without, even if you don't have all the money to race Scusa and stuff, I think that's a big deal. And seeing kids kind of work through the 206 class is very fun.
Okay, I think we got most of that, but we have a bad connection, Sophia. But I think we got most of that from you. Now your connection picks up.
Okay.
But we caught all that. It's just the freen screws. But we got all the audio.
All right.
Perfect. Colin, same question for you. What does grassroots karting mean to you?
I think my fellow teammates have done a pretty good job at explaining it. I mean, I feel it's just like your local series, like David said, being able to go out with your family or with your mom, dad, out to the track on the weekend, race your local series. Doesn't cost a lot of money, just stuff like that, which has really been lacking. I definitely think karting has moved towards a much bigger, like David said, like all the Scusa series and stuff like that. And they're just so expensive that most people can't afford doing that. So just being able to go out to your local track that's kind of grassroots karting for me.
Perfect. And then Miranda, you're gonna come at this question from a whole different perspective.
Yeah, that's one of the first things that Art kind of embodied in me is don't forget where you come from, no matter what happens. He's like, I've gone around the world and raced in Europe and all this, and I never forgot where I came from. And I think I look forward to doing the same kind of thing and keeping RLV going throughout the years. Of that grassroots karting was its biggest. I was talking to Keith Freeber today from Margay, who owns the whole Ignite program, and we just kept hitting on the fact that it has to be affordable, and the average person has to be able to afford it. And that's what we're trying to do, whether it's the VLR or the Ignite or any of those kind of grassroots chassis for the 206, is make it affordable for the average person to come out with their families, have a good time. I run the Santa Maria Karting Association's races, and I stopped for a second yesterday and I looked around and I saw like the barbecue going and people over there at the snack bar and the little kids running around with their scooters. And, it's like, that's what karting's really about. And it needs to stay to that. And that's when karting was its biggest, when it was that type of atmosphere, the family environment. I know we ran that Pan Am race, what was it now, like 5 years ago out here in Santa Maria. And it was like, people still talk about it just because of the barbecue and the dinner after. It wasn't about the racing. It was more about the atmosphere that we put on and making it a family fun environment that you don't see a lot in the higher level of karting that kind of gets lost. I mean, I remember the first time I went to Daytona and it was like people with like elevator doors and don't walk in here and everything was a secret. And like, that's not exciting and approachable to be a new person in the sport to walk into that. It's kind of like, makes sure you kind of take a step back, where when I go out to Santa Maria or I go to a KPX race and what those guys are doing, Chris, they do a great job with bringing that grassroots to all of us. And then, or the Cup Karts, Jasperson back east where Colin races and David and Sophia go back there. The entries speak for themselves, especially this year. They're going to probably have Canada come in since COVID's been locked down, and it's going to be a really big show. And it's exciting to see that people racing a 4-stroke lawnmower engine, as they all say, racing a 60+ class and senior is really exciting to see. And it shows a lot of growth for the karting market, and excited to see it. And we're excited to be a part of it for the most part. Just keep supporting the best we can. We do our best to sponsor all these tracks and these groups, KPX and Cup Karts, and keep it going. It doesn't get lost on RLV. We wouldn't be here without all these people. So,
well, if we keep calling it lawnmower racing, it's going to be hard for me to get a Briggs and Stratton sponsorship on this show.
I did the air quotes.
Yeah, I know. That's always been pretty contentious on some of the national kart shows with the Briggs guys.
Yeah,
so, and I think we have to remember too. It's just it's if you're racing, you take it seriously, whether it's at a club level or a national level. But there's definitely a big reason why 206 has done very well at the local levels. I mean, it's grassroots. It's affordable.
Right.
Well, it's affordable for racing. Let's.
Yeah, I come from basketball, and my parents paid for my travel, but this whole sport is a big eye opener for me. The amount of money parents are paying for their kids, even at the grassroots level. But we do our best to keep our costs down, and especially right now with everything with cost of fuel and all that, we're doing our best just to hold the prices, even if we have to take a little bit back from our pockets and just keep the industry going. That's what it's really about.
Let's see. Barry Barnwell. What's he have to say? Lawnmowers are better than weed eaters.
Fair.
I don't know. We've seen some of those kids drive, and they go through the lawn quite a bit. Actually, you brought up gas. That's a great question for everybody on the show. How has gas prices affected your guys' racing program? Go with Colin.
I don't know. Well, first of all, I must ask, what's gas prices out on the West Coast currently? Don't ask.
Yeah.
I know it's always higher.
You don't want to know.
About $6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our diesel prices now are like $5.50. That's the highest they've been for a long time. But overall, it hasn't really affected my racing too much. I still go to the races. It definitely is more expensive. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things that you just kind of have to eat the cost of.
Yeah. And Sophia, how about you? Have you seen any fuel prices kind of affect your race program, or not quite yet?
Not quite yet. I think it's still at a level where it's relatively manageable. So.
And David V?
For me and my dad, we split the cost. So I mean, it's still manageable for me and him. But I'm not gonna lie, I sweat like a sinner at church when I look at the pump nowadays. Because back in the day, diesel used to be like $2.70 a year and a half ago, and now we're paying $6. But that's a whole different topic.
So David, how old are you?
How old do you think again, Mr. Barry?
How old do I think you are? Well, I've known you for a long time, so that kind of skews everything. But you said, well, my dad and I split the gas bill, so I'm gonna put you at 28.
I feel like Ashley told you that, but yeah, I am 28.
Oh no, are you really?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna say 21.
He's always.
Does your dad want to
21.
split my gas bill?
All right, Sophia and David, are you guys racing KPX in Prairie City?
I am.
Has not been decided yet. Hopefully, but yeah, I don't have a straight answer on that one.
All right.
How come you don't have an answer for that one, Sophia?
Oh my God.
Because I haven't been quite focused on karting as much this year, but it's one of the races I would like to go to this year.
So do you have to earn money to pay for your karting?
I do not, which I'm fortunate. But I mean, I do help my dad when I can, so that probably.
I feel like that question got censored for some reason. Your mic broke out.
That's like Jay in the background, like pulling on the internet.
Right.
His phone creating.
Well, I find it interesting how much effort the drivers actually put into their own racing program. I mean, it's a lot of times you see, some of the kids, like, they do everything on their kart. And then you have the exact opposite. The kids don't do anything on their kart. So I'm always curious to know how much, blood, sweat, and tears each driver puts into their program.
I will probably say, Sophia, like, what a woman. She does work pretty damn hard on the go-kart compared to me and Colin. I mean, 100%.
Talking about?
I think you're trying to share that pain. I think Colin does some work.
Like, I think Sophia's like the ultimate wrencher if you compare drivers, and then Colin, and then I'm just there for emotional support.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
just
David's
pretty much all the
forgot all my
prep
tag
work.
stuff I've done.
All right, we have a question for all the drivers here. Do you have any arch nemesis drivers at certain tracks?
I'll let the nice ones answer first.
Oh, Colin, take it away.
I would say not at certain tracks, but in certain series. Sometimes there's always one person that you're like, I really want to beat that person, or you just don't get along perfectly on track.
Who's yours, Colin?
I think we might share a person.
I mean, there's only like 4 people that listen to the show, so if you say it, no one will ever hear it.
I'd rather not say it. I don't want to
And then you're in
make
Florida.
anything worse.
You're in Florida. There's nobody in Florida that I know that even listens to this show. So you're in a safe
Look at Jesus. Pressure.
You're like stirring the pot. That's all that it is.
They will find it, and I will get targeted again.
What chassis do they run?
That's giving it away.
What's their blood type, Colin?
I don't know. It's only
What
something
color
you
hair do they
David.
have?
Honestly, don't know.
How tall are they? That's a popular
Where are they
question.
based out of, Colin?
Male or female?
Are they based out of Florida?
No, not Florida.
Do they have a podcast themselves?
And where?
Do they have a podcast themselves out of Florida?
No.
No.
If somebody on the show guesses it, will you say yes?
No, not me. I won't say it. I know who it is.
I'm not
but I
going to
won't
say it because I'm pretty sure I know who it is.
Yeah.
So,
All right, we're moving on from Colin. Sophia, arch nemesis.
I mean, honestly, there's I feel like there's one for each series that you race, and there's certain drivers that you just don't get along with. But yes, I have a few, and I think there are people in this that
Oh gosh.
She's being censored again.
Again.
Right?
Is it
Jay,
still not working?
get off the internet, Jay. Switch to cellular. All right. Hold on. So, Sophia, we're gonna come back to you. We have a guest, Colin and Mick. Blink twice.
I mean, we've been
All right, never mind.
I might have to blink a couple times for that one too.
it kind of blew up, and then it's calmed down since then. And in my experience, I've only ever had like one person at a time. Like I've never had multiple people that
Yeah.
I've kind of like been going at it with at tracks. And the people that I tend to go at it with normally get distracted by other people and end up trying to go after them. So I guess it kind of shows who they are. At Charlotte, it was Mick and Eric Fagan, I think. They kind of started going at it, and I kind of was just there, and I was just like, okay, you go at it, boys. So.
You don't have a bullseye, though, if you're not at the front. So that just shows how good the VLR chassis is. See?
There you go. Do we ask David or no?
Oh.
Yes.
Everybody loves David. Who doesn't like David?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Come on, there's always like that one person that grinds your gears. Like when you go to any racetrack. Like, I mean, I love me some Tyler Agan, but come on, we all curse when we go to Monterey because he knows that track like the back of his hand.
That's fair. Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, hell, my dad threw a towel at a racetrack while we were racing against Dylan Albiani. And I have nothing against Dylan Albiani now, but for real, he got a towel and threw it on the racetrack at Dylan, and there's video of it. So you go to
that should be a lifetime ban.
Yeah, well, heck, you go to Cal Speed. I love me some Mike Smith, but the locals get around that track pretty dang good. So I guess it just depends on where you go. But at the moment, I don't have a hating bone for anyone yet. You never know.
Side note, talk about arch nemesis. I had to publicly apologize to Dylan Albiani too.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that we collectively as a family had an arch nemesis. But
we just passed around his picture around the dinner table.
All right. Sophia, did you did we figure you out? Okay. Who's your arch nemesis?
I'm not gonna name them. I think depending on what series I race, there's definitely one in each series, sometimes one at each track. But if you know, you know, and
And that, my friends, is the correct political answer.
That's not going to give us any outtakes, though.
All right, John Gilbert, Mr. Gilbert would like to know, Jason, how old are you?
How old am I? I'm 46.
Yeah, there you go. Our friend, our season go-karts. Shout out our season go-karts.
What's up, Richard?
Barry Barnwell.
That's a book. That just
There we
covered
go.
everybody up.
Yeah.
Grassroots is alive and well. KPX NWKA pass holder cut have been putting on excellent professional level racing at affordable prices for regional series. PC, which is Prairie City, has an exceptionally good program with both 4-stroke and 2-stroke weekends. NNKC, which is Northern Nevada Kart Club, is coming on strong this year as well with lots of kart entries. Remember to support your local clubs and series or you'll have nowhere to run. True statement. And let's see here. Barry already said 4-stroke and 2-stroke, which goes right into this question. Colin and Sophia. Wait, Vasquez has 2-stroke racing experience.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Dang, David.
Why not David?
It's been so long that people
drivers,
don't even think he's to race.
4-stroke and 2-stroke and why? Or 2-stroke and why? Go ahead, David, since Barry forgot all about you. He must have a beef with you and his kids or something.
I love the Barnwells. We had margaritas together at Indiana. I do come from a 2-stroke background, so I actually started in kid karts back in the day, and then I navigated to Comers and then to the senior super sports or the junior super sportsman, the 4-hole and the 3-hole. And then HPV, when the KPV HPV made its debut back at Sonoma for Pro Kart, I was actually one of the ones that did it back in the day. So I do come from a 2-cycle background, but now I'm old and washed up. So that's why I'm over here doing the 4-stroke.
Miranda, I will not
He
admit in
races
public I'm overly
Yamahas
washed
for
up.
money.
So if I
supposedly,
need to replace David in the cart seat, I'm available.
He's always the first one to like put me accountable. Like she'll tell you, like all of us, in one way or another, we get emotionally abused, but in a good way, from Miranda at the go-kart track.
Can confirm.
I got to keep these guys in line. Colin's easy. It's the other two that.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah.
I normally don't get much, but
So Colin, since you're talking, 4-stroke or 2-stroke and why?
I actively am racing both of them currently, X30 and 4-stroke 206. I really love both of them. I think they have different styles. I think 4-stroke is more. I think it's more mental based, whereas 2-stroke is more like reactionary based. So 4-stroke, you can sit there and you can think and you can set something up, and like you sit there and like you like watch how someone's driving, you set it up more. Whereas 2-stroke, it's like all of a sudden go for a pass, you know. It's less teamwork, whereas 4-strokes you can team up with someone and push away. 2-stroke in general, you don't have teammates. It's more just every man for himself or woman. Yeah, I really like both of them. They're completely different. I think they're pretty different forms of racing, like racecraft behind them.
And Sophia, how about you? 4-stroke or 2-stroke?
So I primarily race 2-stroke or 4-stroke. I mean, I only race 2-stroke here and there, but I prefer 4-stroke just because of I think to an extent, like at more club levels, it provides closer racing and it's more momentum based. I feel like it doesn't, you don't have the power to pull you out of the corners. So I think that's a reason why I like 4-stroke better. And I just feel like I'm more comfortable in it. So it's kind of what I lean towards. But I've been known to enjoy some 2-stroke racing once in a while. So
I definitely agree with her that 4-stroke is better at a local level, and 4-stroke always does tend to race closer than 2-stroke does.
Mm-hmm.
You tend to have a bigger pack of people, just closer racing overall. I think it just is due to the speed difference.
A race to 49 miles an hour?
Yes.
Yes.
55 and you're at the brickyard.
6 in the brickyard.
Is that going downhill?
All right, we have a sissy shout out here. Olivia, what's up? #1 fan, Auntie's
That's my
#1
sister.
fan. All right, our friend Ridgely is going to be at Sonoma. And question for David. Our Uncle Mike wants to know, David, I was wondering if you ever get scared of the high speeds being so low to the ground.
So I have to give a shout out to Mr. Gordon, Mike Gordon, Uncle Gordon. What's up? The only time that I was probably
We're
scared.
censored now too. Our grandma's watching, y'all. So
Hi, Grandma.
Everyone loves
You guys
it.
had my grandma.
Hi, Grandma.
Oh, Colin's like, nope. But the only time that I was like really scared,
I wasn't paying attention, my bad.
is when I lost my brakes at Streets of Modesto in the tag senior class, and I think Mike was actually there when I flipped and hit a tree. So yeah, that was fun.
What kind of tree was it?
It was a tree.
Tree?
Yeah. Well, I couldn't remember what it was. Was it a tree or a light post? But either way, I know Mike was there.
no, it was almost a light post, but we were like, oh, it was just a tree. That's cool. At least it wasn't the light post.
Sister has that.
And
Yes.
look at this. She doesn't choose favorites, you guys, at all. No favoritism in our family. All right.
I've never seen that name pop up on the show before. Now, so explain, Ashley. How can, that name's never been on our show before?
This one?
Yeah.
Lily Chavez?
Yeah.
That's our grandma.
That's
And
our
okay.
grandma.
truth be
So her
told, that's
favorite
where we get-
grandson is on right now?
Yeah.
That's where I get the racing gene. Grandma actually used to race,
Yeah.
and back in the day, so that's how we got the racing gene from her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. So, hi, Grandma. Welcome to my show.
Is this grandma that does the mariachi music party?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
Jason, my friend Jason would like to be invited to your parties, Grandma. But okay, let's stop making this about us. KA100 and X30, what do you prefer?
X30. My
X30.
only experience with KA, I did one practice session and burnt like a big patch of skin off the back right of my arm because the motor, because you can't get it far enough away from like your arm. So yeah, definitely X30.
It's all right, Sophia. No judgment. Our grandma just came in and hijacked our show. So
David,
X30 or KA100?
X30 for me.
Sophia?
I've never driven an X30. I've driven a KA, I've driven a shifter, KT100, but never an X30. So I guess I'm gonna have to go with KA.
it's just like a Briggs, but completely different.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, you ran a shifter
I've never raced it, but I've driven a shifter, yes.
and you're still in a Briggs?
Yeah, I actually prefer Briggs over all of them. So, yeah. I know, it's weird.
We had Elijah White. She would race 206 and ACC shifter in one day, and I have no idea how she did that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Because she's badass. That's how.
Because she's a girl,
Yeah.
that's what I was going to say.
She's a girl.
So, all right, let's bring up these chassis, Jason, so we can talk about these. So, how old are these chassis?
They've been
They're
around
fair-
for about like 4 to 5 years. Yeah. 'Cause-
Okay.
Well, we came out with the Emerald first. The Cadet's been like 3 years.
Okay. So what and then I know like David and Sophia and but what did you guys do to develop these chassis? Like Art and Rod are like, hey, let's build our own. And then what happened? Like how did all of this kind of come up with the Emerald chassis? There you go. Perfect.
David did a lot of the development work, and he could probably speak on that.
Yeah, I think our first full season together was back in 2017, and we made a really big push for the KPX. But like prior to that, in 2016, I was racing the LAKC series with Glenn Araki at PKS, and I was doing the X30. And pretty much what happened is Art and Rod went up to him to talk about a chassis that they wanted to do some testing with. And we never knew what the chassis was because it was all blacked out. And they just said, just get in the chassis, drive it, give us your feedback. And the primary goal, from what I remembered, is making a chassis that was affordable and competitive to where you guys didn't have to buy so much in terms of making it competitive, like buying all these extra parts to make it a competitive chassis. So we pretty much were going out to Cal Speed, Santa Maria quite often to really build up the chassis, get feedback, and see, how it stood up to other brands on the market. And I think 2017 at the Fresno KPX, our first race in the seniors was me and I think Hannah Grisham, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, we were doing a lot of racing all over the KPX, going up north and down south. So the primary goal all along was just to make an affordable go-kart that was competitive, at the club level, regional level, and then at the national level. So I think that's how I got into bed with RLV back in the day for the chassis.
Mm-hmm. And then, so when you mean by develop it, kind of explain that. They just gave you a chassis and were like, here you go.
Yeah.
Then they would make changes or what?
Yeah. So sometimes it was after the LAKC club races because we wanted to test the go-kart in a high grip scenario. And then sometimes it was just off an off weekend for practice. So a lot of the time I just got in the go-kart and me and my dad working with Art and Rod would just, tune the chassis and, really document the different changes that it would do when we did this, or document the different changes that we would do when we did that. So every time, based on those changes, we went out to the go-kart track and tried to replicate it, or a different version of that package would come out to the track and we would just test it. And we never really questioned it. If anything, I felt really honored to be doing it, just because Rod and are legends in the sport because they've been doing it for so long. And then finally we did ask the question, like, oh yeah, we're coming out with a different go-kart. And I really did love it because I was OTK happy for the longest time. And I really loved how the chassis responded to changes, what we did. And it was effortless and it was smooth. And, at the end of the day, I really enjoyed being with Art and Rod. So we started racing more competitively. And then I was gushing like a schoolgirl when I found out like someone from back east, aka Colin Warren, was driving it, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's Colin! So I was pretty stoked.
Perfect.
I'm pretty animated, like compared to my teammates. Like they'll tell you, like in a heartbeat, like I can talk to a trash bag. So
Yeah.
Okay, so then Sophia, let's enter Sophia. How do you find out about VLRs and hey, let me get on that and stuff like that?
So I started racing VLRs when I moved up to Junior 2 in 2017. I honestly don't really remember how I got, put into the whole VLR team. I just all I remember is showing up to like races and them all being there, specifically David actually, and racing with them. But it's been a really good platform to learn and like to kind of further my racing and my experience with this chassis. So.
All right. And then Colin, how did you find out about VLRs and how'd you get one, stuff like that?
I started racing 206 on another chassis, and I raced for TS Racing still, and they are a dealer for VLR chassis in Florida. So that's kind of that's how I ended up on the chassis. Is they're a dealer for the chassis, and then I started running it and had success basically at the first race. So we've continued running it, and it's working really well.
Excellent. Okay. So I think this is a question. Are you expecting 507, 508 body work anytime?
That one's for Miranda.
Yeah, we should have that hopefully in like 2 months. It's on the way to us. Both the 507 and the 508 we will have in stock in about 2 months.
You heard it here. Use code Norcal Karters. Okay.
Yes.
And on the cart, our biggest goal, like David said, was to make it, to be able to race it at any level, whether you're racing it out here in Santa Maria or up in the northern tracks, or if you're racing it at Cup Karts or KPX national level. It's competitive and it's proven itself at any level that it's been raced at. And that was kind of our main goal. And then the affordability of the parts, it was a main focus of ours, was to keep the parts affordable compared to some other chassis like Burrell's and especially Tony Karts. The parts can be very expensive, and we do our best to keep the parts at a reasonable price so that when you get in an accident, it's not the end of the world and keeps you from getting back in the cart. We try to, steering shafts and spindles and all that, we keep it a affordable price compared to a lot of our competitors, and that was a main focus of ours when we got it launched, is keeping all that affordable. But Art and Rod over the years have had all this experience in the industry, and they basically came together, and it was really fun to watch them put that cart together and put both their brains together and come up with that, and the 28 millimeter frame rail and a couple other their friends, and then David and Sophia, a lot of their input has helped it grow over the years. So it's been exciting to watch it compete at all the levels and win nationally and at the club level.
So staying on with Miranda here, does VLR offer a different chassis for two-stroke?
We don't. We've tried the VLR in the two-cycle market for the Emerald. It's not built for that. It's built for four-cycle racing, and that's what we suggest it be raced at. It can be raced at the two-cycle level. It's just there are karts that are built for two-cycle racing, and so trying to compete against something built specifically for the two-cycle market is hard. But for our Sapphire kart, which is the cadet kart, that is for two or four cycle.
Let's see, Barry. Does VLR have a setup guide for this chassis, and where can people find information for assistance?
Yeah, it's on the RLV site under VLR Technical. There's a standard setup that we suggest everyone start at. And Rod took a kart actually last week, and I think David, you raced it, right? Or somebody raced it down south in Tri-C, and it was basically to the standard setup, no real changes, and it was on pole, fastest qualifying lap to the standard setup with no changes. So that's another thing we're excited about is we finally kind of have it dialed in. You can do little changes here and there with like seat adjustments. Some people mess with the seat. Some people mess with the axles and the width, but for the most part, that standard setup has been really spot on at almost anywhere it's been raced at. If you go up above that right there, the VLR standard setup, the second one to that one. So that's where to set basically everything to start out on your first time out. Set all that to that, and it should get you very close. There just might need to be some fine tuning adjustments, but especially that seat installation, we suggest you follow it, and it'll get you very close to where you need to be, if not exactly where you need to be.
Perfect.
Barry needs to get on a VLR, I think.
What's that?
I think Barry needs to get on a VLR.
It comes in red, Barry.
Well, when I look at the bodywork for the VLR, the first thing I think of is was it Gary Anderson's Gravedigger?
We have changed to the new graphics. I have to get some on the website, but there is actually probably on the website under graphics is the new design. It's not complete on a kart, but there might be some on our Facebook. I don't know if David has posted his new graphics, or Colin might have some, but
I think the RLV Facebook did a post recently about my NOLA trip, and I think there's photos on there.
okay.
All right. Well, that was my next question. Where have you guys raced recently?
Go ahead, Colin.
I just did the last race at for Cup Kart South in New Orleans. Yeah, that was my last race, and it was a fun one. I kind of had the light, so I raced light and medium in that series. I kind of had light locked up going into the weekend. I just needed to do like decent one of the days. Medium, on the other hand, I think I was coming into the weekend third or fourth. I think I was third. But it was still kind of like anyone's race. I had to win both days to be able to win that, and I managed to get all 4 wins, 2 in light, 2 in medium. So I won both championships. So that was pretty good.
All right, Sophia.
Honestly, I haven't been karting that much this season. The last KPX race I raced was the Prairie City race, but I did race some of the SMK club races and helped out some kids there, and I've been doing a lot of coaching with some of the newer drivers in the field. So
That's awesome.
And then my last race was the Tri-C a couple of weekends ago, and then I've just been working with kids for the driver coaching recently too.
Okay, we have a question. We have an RLV 4-pipe on one of our carts. What's the best method to clean it, and how many hours between cleanings?
I don't think I've ever been asked that question. I'll have to check with Rod on that. You call.
Buy a new one.
Yeah, that's a suggestion.
New pipes are always better.
Yeah, if you call us tomorrow, I'll make sure I get Rod on the phone and we'll answer that question for you.
Whatever you do, don't use oven cleaner and put it in your wife's oven. Don't do that.
Yeah, that probably won't go over too well.
Oh gosh. All right, guys. So we're at the part of the show where you guys can give your shout outs, let us know where you're going to be racing at next, plug your team, all that stuff, so we can start. And then when you're done, you can wait for us like in the
In the waiting room.
the
In the
waiting
lounge.
room, or you can go. So we'll go ahead and start up top with Sophia and then work our way down. Okay.
Okay. So my Instagram's SG Story 365. And I guess shout outs. I'll give a shout out to David because space is right there. Shout out to Ardent Rod for supporting me throughout all my 4-stroke racing, and my mechanic Steven. My father for taking me around to all the races and dealing with me. So, yeah.
That last part. Huh?
It's a big one, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. And where are you going to be racing? Well, oh, wait. You said you didn't know. Where are you going to be racing next?
Oh, that's a great question, honestly. I want to race the next KPX race.
Yeah, KVX. I think.
And I would like to go to Wisconsin for Cup Karts North. But the next race I know I'm going to is Miata race, but it doesn't really apply. So
Well, you're coming to Grands too, right?
we'll see.
Better.
Just for you, Colin. Just for you.
Better.
All right. Thanks so much for being here, Sophia. Thanks for all your insight and your stories about David and stuff like that too.
Of course.
But before you take off, Sophia, who photobombed us earlier?
Oh, that's my little brother Henry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Shout out to
Hey,
Henry.
Shout out. All right, Sophia, we'll see you. Thanks for being on.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Next, go ahead, Miranda.
All right. Just thank you guys both for having RLV on here. It's been fun getting to know everybody, even though these other guys already know. But yeah, it's so fun. And let us know if you have any questions. I'm going to try to make it. I really want to make it to a KPX race this year, so I'll try to find one that I can make it to. I didn't make it to any last year, so I need to make it to a KPX race and a Tri-C race for sure down south. And then you'll probably see me at a couple Cup Kart races if you guys are there. But yeah, always flag me down if you want to say hi or pick my brain on different subjects. I'm an open book. So what you see is what you get with me. And I look forward to kind of growing RLV and keeping it at the grassroots level. And yeah, appreciate you guys for having us on. And we'll do something about getting the RLV banner in the back there. So.
Thank you. And thank you so much for being on.
I need a new RLV shirt.
Oh,
I'm actually working on RLV apparel. So that's a new thing coming too.
what? All right. You heard it here. Use code Norcal Karters. All right. Bye, Miranda. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you, Miranda.
All right. Who wants to go first? Rock, paper, scissors. Colin or David?
I feel like Colin's going to kick my butt because normally when we do this, like he always wins anyways.
I don't think that's how we play the game, David.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
All right. Go ahead, Colin. Final thoughts, shout outs.
TS Racing, that's who I race for. And RLV, just, yeah. Pretty simple.
All right, awesome. Where are you going to be racing next?
My next race, I had to pull up the schedule here, is going to be
Fancy.
for 206. Yeah, I know.
So
For
fancy.
206 is going to be WKA Gold Cup. They're going to have their first round in Charlotte, North Carolina on June 24th.
Nice.
So
All
about a
right.
month.
All right. Thank you
Thank you,
so much
Colin.
for being here, Colin.
Thank you all. Bye, David.
Bye, Colin.
All right. Go ahead.
Just gotta definitely thank my family, RLV, Miranda, Comet Racing Engines, Mr. Gordon, Uncle Mike Gordon again. Shout out to him. Shout out to Uncle John Gilbert as well. Next race, I think it's going to be the Prairie City Club race coming up this weekend. I'm going to do a couple of KPXs and then a couple of Cup Karts going back east for the Grand Nationals. And yeah, I think that's about it. A couple more Tri-Cs going down south to see Mike Smith and the gang again. So it's always nice to get out of the house.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, David Vasquez.
Thank you,
Bye,
David.
Mr. Barry.
All right. We'll see you later. Have a good night. Thanks so much. All right, Jason.
All right, you're taking us out, right?
I don't think I have anything. I will be in Sonoma this weekend with Jason. Norcal Karters will be in Sonoma. We got a double header with Prairie City happening too. So if you're interested in being our race reporter for Prairie City, shoot us a DM. And
Ridgely, I know
else?
you're still on. Oh, he's going to Sonoma.
And yeah. Anything else coming up? We got the girls show. We have Kart Dads. We have another Chassis 101 with another chassis. And yeah, lots of cool things coming up.
Lots of cool things.
So if you want to come on my show to talk about karting, let's do it. Peace, NorCal.
So you can reach Ashley at NorCal Mondays if you have photos or video that you want showcased on the live stream. And once again, to recap the events coming up this weekend, May 28th and 29th, we will be at Rock Sonoma. We are live streaming on YouTube under the Rock Sonoma channel. Also this weekend is Prairie City Karting. And don't forget to mark your calendars. Registration has opened for California Rock Championship at Pat's Acres, hosted by Challenge Karting, challengekarting.com. That's taking place June 24th through the 26th. And also June 26th at Prairie City, we are doing a swap meet. So June 26th, mark your calendars. There's a swap meet at Prairie City. And remember, if we all get one person into the sport, we'll double by next year. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining. And we'll see you next week.